initially all the time until you get a lot of customer base. Here's all the controls for it. You've got filters, electrical filters, harmonic filters that steady the current, if you will, clean it. It's like a filter in a water system. And these are your variable frequency drives that those motors run off. This is where the money is in these projects, is in this equipment here.
Brains.
And they're all canopy covered, lighting, fans in them to keep them cool during 100-degree weather, because you got all that circuitry in them.
I have a question for you. On your backup generator, I'm sure this is monitoring the cycles. Okay. What is the high and low that they engage?
I don't quite understand
Well,
that
okay,
question.
if you've got a current flow, okay, when does the backup generator know when to turn on?
If you lose power,
Okay.
there's a sensor in that generator that knows to kick off.
Okay, what if it just fluctuated?
And shut it.
It's only complete power.
Complete power. And the switch over here, everything's connected to the main switch. So you got the generator there that's to the main switch, and all this goes to the main switch. There's no separate lines. This plant does not know if power goes out. It never knows. And like I was explaining, when the power does come back on, the generator keeps running, and it just slowly transitions from the generator to the power line. The system never knows. And that's a state requirement, which is a good one. You don't want to have loss of power and loss of biological process. While we're here, these pumps are connected to the aerobic digester side of this treatment unit. That's what people call sludge. And after it has so many days of detention and processing, these pumps are used to take it to those dewatering trailers. Because it'll only be like 4% solids, which is still like running water with a bunch of, like ice cream melting, I guess. So those pumps pump to the trailer. Trailers have a bunch of fabric in it. We add polymer, stiffen up the solids, and that dewaters it. And once it's full and dewatered, it gets taken off to TCQ disposal site.
Translation, BRA. Potentially.
Yeah, which is a good place, so they can put it in their compost. Which I did in 1990, I think. So following the process, it pumps through a pipeline that's meandering through here, come up through here, and head this way. And they go up these pipelines. Again, you see the small pipe? That's for that what I call duty pump in the initial phases. And you'll still, even when you're at 300 capacity, at 3 in the morning, stuff like that, that smaller pump will still run. So it goes into a box up there, and we have those, see these two hand wheels up here? One of them on the left is closed completely. The one over here is open. We want the flow to divert through that mechanical screen that's on top of the unit. The other channel is in case you got to do maintenance on the screen. You just temporarily bypass the screen to work on it. And that mechanical screen is essentially, if you can envision a pipe with a basket inside of it that's turning, the flow's coming in, and it just screens your wastewater of solids and different things. Then a conveyor inside of it takes it all the way to the top, and it'll shoot it down this tube that's on the side of the structure, which will have a bag on it. It's dewatered. It's just all the salt matchsticks, corn, whatever you want to think of that's in there. It'll move down to couple millimeters, which is good. This technology came about in the early 90s, and it's really good to get all that out of there because it helps all your other processes. The wear and tear on these pumps because of different things in that wastewater. So after it, probably ought to go around this way.
Yeah, let's not walk them near the ditch.
Try. So after it's screened, there's an effluent box on the back end of this thing where it outfalls and it comes out this pipe right here. That's where this pipe right here. Yeah. And the state makes you color code different pipes depending on where it is in the process. Like you see the sludge, obviously brown. This is screened water. So then we get to the treatment unit. It's coming down that pipe into that one, which explains why that's so high. Your hydraulic grade line has to be enough to get the water from here to there. And those are always your most expensive, complicated structures in a wastewater plant. Just because they're elevated.
The process of pouring concrete on that thing took weeks.
Yeah.
Because it's got a series of channels and chambers in it.
And you've got grading over the channels. You can look and see the flow. Now this is all galvanized metal, except once you get past that grading up there, it's all fiberglass. Because you want that fiberglass, because you got H2S emissions that'll corrode metal. So then you go into treatment unit, which is circular, obviously, and about half of this unit is for what they call the activated sludge process. So, and there's diffuse air probes that are about that far apart, which causes the aeration for the biological component of the process. VOD removal, TSS. So you try to keep a DO range in there depending on the operator what you prefer. And you'll measure DO to make sure you're getting it. Now the aeration that gets to this, you see that pipe with the green tape on it? These are your blowers. They're 900 cubic feet per minute blowers. That discharge header piping actually gets hot. So you'll run probably once a standby, probably initially you may just need one. It depends on your biological loading. A lot of people get mixed up in the flow rate versus loading. Plants are there's more involved with biological loading than there is the hydraulics. So the air comes in over there, the big one, galvanized pipe. Here's your wastewater. It goes through the process, and as it's inside this thing is a clarifier. Once it's treated, it goes in the clarifier, and it's cone shaped, and it's got a rake in it. It settles all the solids out, and those solids are picked up, put into those basins for digestion of the sludge, which is then pumped to dewater the trailers, hauled off. Now, in this section, about where that walkway is, see this pipe coming out right here? There's a chlorine contact section in it. It's just weirs where the flow has to plug flow through it. The state says you have to have 20 minutes of contact with chlorine. Disinfection. Once it comes through that, we then go into this filter. And inside that basin are four big cloth disc filters that turn and water is sucked through it. That removes your suspended solids. Your permit's a 552. 5 DOD, 5 TSS, 2 on a monument. You probably, I've been to plants like this, there's times where you don't need the filter to meet your permit. But the state requires it, and I would. Would not have this in here without it. So after you leave the filter, we're going to have to go back around here. We go to this real long, skinny structure here. It's called your effluent metering structure. And by the way, the state TCQ does not require you to measure what's coming in. They only want to know what's coming out. Your plant has those 2 flow meters right there. We wanted that for a lot of reasons. It sends a signal to your SCADA that's on the computer, so Don, the operators, know what flow is coming in there. But more importantly, and your lift stations have them, it gives you the ability to monitor your system and start planning when you're approaching phase 2. In phase 2, we sized the basin for 300. So really, when you're approaching, let's say 75% or 80 of the 200, you go change the impellers on the pumps, add a blower, and you're already up 100,000 gallons a day.
At a very low cost at the end of the
Probably
day, as opposed to coming back in and retrofitting the plant.
Yeah. And your screen is sized for the 300, so it does not require. Now the way the footprint out here is, in that effluent box, you can put another one of these units over there in that space to go to 600. Now you have to add another blower pad, which would be probably to the west of this parking lot, if that's what you want to call it. Back to this structure.
But for the record, there are no plans at this point to go to that level.
Yeah.
Here.
So here is just a V-notch weir. The way you measure flow over weir is the depth of it, and it's a formula that tells you how much coming out. And we have that. That's a level sensor right there. This ultrasonic level sensor. That's what's in your station I mentioned earlier. It's sending a signal, and it's measuring the height over that weir and calculating what the flow is. And then it's sending it to your SCADA, so you have a recording of what the flows look like. And then on the back end, once it comes through your weir, we have this stainless steel cascade area. And that's what entrains oxygen. Your permit requires you to have a dissolved oxygen before you go in the creek for the aquatic life. So it'll bump up the dissolved oxygen because it's causing turbulence. It's kind of like going over a waterfall, if you will. And then from there, it goes to a manhole out in the yard. And near the creek is a rock riprap with an outfall structure, and it just goes right into the stream.
And that is it.
That's it.
What is the most likely part of
Anything mechanical. That's why we went with, this was a pretty pricey patented item,
It's not so mechanical.
but it's stainless steel and been here forever.
And this is one of the most critical pieces of the plant.
This plant's going to be pretty low maintenance for many years. It's pretty basic. We designed it for ease of operation. If I had, everything like I said, like the sludge pumps, they have big tubes in those casings. When you run the rotor on it, pushing the sludge, those tubes finally fatigue. But in the
What are the tubes made out of?
I can't remember exactly. EPDM. It's a plastic, hard, kind of like a fire hose.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to go back and look at the spec, but in the
It's not
bids,
metal. It's not steel.
no, in the bids we had them deliver spare parts. So when they fail, you've got spare tubing to put in there. We also put electrical controls in there that tells you how many hours it ran. So the first time they under a warranty for a year. Every bit of it.
Anything, nothing, none of the parts are warranted for any longer than a year?
I'm not sure. Generally,
I'd
it's
have to go back
just a
and check,
year.
yeah.
I'd have to go look. It's been 3 or 4 years since 3 years since I looked at this. This right here is pretty unique for a plant this size. What we did in visiting with other plants is, well, see that tube right there, Darlene? That's pretty similar to what's inside that pump.
Pretty thick.
It's got
Rubber?
yeah.
Is it rubber?
Yeah.
Or
We have a controller over here.
like a
In
fire
this
hose?
little hut right here is your polymer feed. Now, if you see these gates and the gravel, polymer comes in bulk in plastic containers, so you back them in and hook it up. So we've got this clear tubing here, a mixer, and the one it's hooked up to mixes. The polymer goes in, the sludge is coming, so it's mixing that polymer with that sludge. And on the back here we have a controller that you can adjust the feed rate of the polymer.
Automatically fitting. What's it look like? Is it like
It's
styrofoam or
liquid.
something? No, it's liquid.
Yeah,
Oh,
liquid polymer. Alum.
okay.
Rick, we probably ought to wrap it up.
Yeah, but that's generally it.
One last question. What's going to be the first date of discharge?
It's going to be a couple of days before you see a discharge out of the plant.
Okay.
Because it has to fill up. And clearly with the amount of waste that's going to be coming in initially, it'll take a while.
Okay. All right.
Oh, it's mandatory? Now, is any of this, is any of this, this ever left uncovered, these things?
Shouldn't be other than if they want to observe it.
Okay.
And then when they're dumping it, where they're taking it.
So they're always looked on.
That's one of your biggest smell factors.
Well, that's why I was asking.
Another, it's covered for one, to keep rain off of it, because you're trying to dry it.
Right.
And odor.
How does it dry if it doesn't get air?
It's the
Oh,
polymer.
polymer. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
underneath there, it's sitting on a,
Mhm.
if you can envision like a screen door laid sideways, and it's just, that
Because
water
it's raining.
seeps in.
So it presses
Like-
down
like
constantly.
cheesecloth.
Yes, like making cheese. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you end up with a curd.
Yeah,
Just picks up the drippings and
no, that doesn't.
it pumps the thing up.
The effluent, the water that comes off of those goes into this grate. And it goes into the pan. Right there. Which goes right back to the influent lift station and back into the
It's
process.
recycled basically through the
Recycled.
process.
Okay.